Okay, 1 Corinthians 11.
1 Corinthians 11.
Verse 1 through 16.
Now it's going to get deep.
We knew this one was going to be a long one. We have went well over our time. But if you all can just bear with us for a while, hopefully this will be a blessing so that we can stop causing people to be out of the will of the Father. Of course, anybody who is called has to be called of Yah. We want to reiterate that we're not saying that every woman is a teacher. Neither is every man a teacher.
That's right.
This is why we like to come strong and heavy with Scripture and with the Word.
Yeah,
there is no private interpretation here.
That's right. Just because you're a man, that don't mean you are called to teach. Mm-hmm. Okay, so don't get that twisted. I know a lot of men out there, they think, well, I'm a man, I know the Word, I'm just going out and teach. You need to be sent to go out and teach. That's right. You know, the Most High, He called teachers, right? Mm-hmm. That's a called position. Many are called, but few are chosen. That's you right. See? So you got to do things according to the Word here, okay? Just because you're a man, that don't mean you should be out teaching everybody. There's a matter of fact, the Scripture told you many false teachers will come in the last days. Many of them, okay? Mm-hmm. So let's just look at that, okay?
Okay, now we're in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, starting at verse 1. I'll read half of this.
Okay, I'll read the second half.
Okay. It says, "Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ. Now I praise thee, brethren, that ye remember me in all things and keep the ordinances as I delivered them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is man, and the head of Christ is God. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered, dishonoreth her head. For that is even as if she were shaven. For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if she be ashamed, for if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of Yah, but the woman is the glory of man. For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man."
Okay, I'll read from here. "Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought woman to have power over her head, because of the angels. Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in Yah. For as the woman is of the man, even so the man is also by the woman. But all things of Yah. Judge in yourselves, it is comely that a woman pray unto Yah uncovered. He said, doeth not even nature teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him? But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given for a covering. But if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither the churches of Yah." Okay, now I want you to understand this passage here, because I get so many brothers, man, you just pray with your head covered, and they don't understand this passage, okay? That's why I say, that's why people got to be called to teach, because everything you looking at in these scriptures here, you're only looking at the surface of it. Mm-hmm. The understanding that the Ruach gives is below the surface of it. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to help you to understand this. We're going to show you what this means here. Now, let's take an equation. Okay, let's take mathematics for a minute, right? Okay, now, we know when the scripture talks about reckoning in the scriptures, that word actually in Greek means account, which means accounting, like when you do math. 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, okay? Now, in algebra, they use letters to symbolize what a number could be. So it could be something like A equals 2, and B equals 3. So then you can say, A plus B equals what? 5 or whatever. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's algebra. That's how it is. That's how Paul is putting this when he starts this off. That's why at the end he says, we ain't got no such custom. Mm-hmm. What is he talking about? Okay, so let's look at this. I'm going to hold this up, and I want my wife, she's going to share with you what we're talking about here. Okay? Now look at this here. Pay attention.
This was put together as a mathematical equation. Okay? I want to make sure that you all can see it. Yeah. Okay. I'm showing up backwards.
Showing up backwards.
It says Christ is the head of man. Okay, the head of man meaning the authority over man. Okay, man is the head of woman, which means the authority over the woman. We've already established that the man is the authority over the woman and Christ is the authority over the man. Now, notice it said, the King James Version says the head of the man is Christ, the head of the woman is man. Now, it goes on to say, women, cover your head. Now, that's what we want everybody to pay attention to.
That's right.
Cover your head.
Now, when she what?
When she prays or prophesies.
Okay. Paul starts out here and already established what the head of woman is. What the head of woman is. Okay, think about what we're saying here. The head of woman is what? Man. Mm-hmm. So it tells her, you have to cover your head when you pray and you prophesy. Mm-hmm. So what does she need to do?
Okay. When a woman prays or prophesies, cover her head. Okay. Right. It's not talking about this right here.
It's a cloth that was made in China.
That's not what it's talking about. A piece of cloth made in China or made in Taiwan or anything. That's right. That's not what it's referring to.
Right.
Cover your head, which we already established is the man.
Is the man.
We looked in other translations, and when you do your study, it's better to do that because King James have his translations can be a little confusing to what the truth actually is.
Right.
But when it says cover your head, that means cover the man's authority when you're praying or prophesying.
That's right.
Okay, it means set the man's authority aside.
That's right.
When you're praying or prophesying, and this is so it's not talking about your physical head. It's saying put the man's authority aside when you're going to the Father.
That's right. You know why she must do that? Because I am not her God. Are you getting this? Mm-hmm. I'm not her God. So when she go to the Most High, she got to put my authority and everything aside because now she's going before the Father. Because I'm her head, right? So now she got to cover up me because now she got to go before the Father or else I will be her idol. Mm-hmm. You understand me? Mm-hmm. See, that's why some men can bring any kind of nonsense into their marriage because this woman, she's sitting there and she's not covering up that man. And so when that man goes out and he brings some wicked into the household, she can't say anything because she ain't praying with her head covered. But if she praying with her head covered, meaning the man, then that woman can do what? She can look at him and say, son, I just prayed to the Most High about that. That's wicked what you trying to do. What you trying to bring into our family is wicked. Mm-hmm. You understand? Because she done heard from the Most High. Mm-hmm. You understand? That's what the scripture is referring to. She has to cover her head. But me, I don't have to cover my head, right? Mm-hmm. Because my head is who?
Christ.
Yehoshua, the Hamashiach.
In other words, that's why I'm saying that you're not supposed to cover your head.
That's right.
Not this head. So
that's right.
When people say, why do you have something on your head while you're praying?
That's right. My head ain't covered. You looking at my head, my physical head is covered, but my head, which is Christ, is not covered when I pray or prophesy.
Meaning you're not setting the authority of Christ aside.
That's right. Exactly.
You know, if you look at other translations, it reads a little differently. So then you understand that it's not talking about our chrome dome here.
That's right.
It's not talking about our flesh head. It's talking about something else. It's talking about the authority.
That's right, the authority.
In other words, think about Deborah when she would judge Israel.
That's right.
Did she get her judgments from the Father?
That's right.
Or did she get them from her husband?
That's right.
So the authority of her husband had to be set aside when she was dealing with the children of Israel.
That's right.
Also, when a woman is prophesying,
that's right,
she sets aside the authority of her husband
That's right.
And allows the Most High to speak or deal with her on that prophecy.
That's right. Now notice verse 10. What does it say here? For this cause ought the woman to have power or authority over her head because of the angels.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness, there it is. You read that for yourself. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Most High is just saying that she must do what? Set that man's authority aside when she prayed and she prophesied.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Exactly.
That's what he's talking about. That's why Shaul, when he goes down to the end of this, what does he say? He said, now there's any of y'all that's contentious about this thing, because he said, well, wait a minute, she got her hair, he got his hair covered and all. He said, I want y'all to understand, if you contentious, wait a minute. I'm not talking about earthly customs here, y'all. We have no such custom. You see, because as quiet as it's kept, if you want to look in the Torah, if you Torah readers out there, you want to look in the Torah, what did it say about the Levite priests?
Mm-hmm.
It said the Levite priests are supposed to have a bonnet upon their head, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't sit here and say that, oh, wait a minute, the man's supposed to have his head uncovered. You got to understand that the scripture is written so that we can not just take part of it here. We want to take the parts that Paul's saying about this and saying about that, but we want to ignore all the other stuff that actually happened. Mm-hmm. Actual history. You see, all this come together like this. Mm-hmm. You want to read it in another translation. Listen to this.
This translation actually expounds upon it even more, which is why we're saying the King James Version can confuse things.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, when you read 1 Corinthians 11 and 10 here, it says, also the woman ought to have the Ruach's authority over her.
That's right.
It actually tells you.
That's right.
See, it's talking about authority.
That's right.
She had to set aside the man's authority when she's praying or prophesying.
So that the
Ruach's authority
That's
is
right.
what she's dealing with at this point.
That's right.
So if the Father gives that woman a word,
that's right,
she's dealing with the authority of the Father, that relationship with the Father.
That's right.
A very good example of that is when Jacob and Esau were in Rebekah's womb.
That's right.
Now, you all know that Isaac was all set and ready to hand the blessing over to Esau. Was he not?
He was. He was ready to hand it to him.
Okay, he was all ready to hand it over, but the Most High had to go to who? Rebekah had to set her husband's authority aside.
That's right.
Just to carry out the authority that the Most High had over her. He told Rebekah what was going on in her womb.
She went to the point of even deceiving her husband. And Esau. She went to the point of deceiving him because she said, well, I know what the Most High showed me. I know what he gave me the dream of. So I got to make sure that he don't give this blessing to the wrong boy.
Exactly.
Now,
I mean, that's a very good example of what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Here, because this woman, now get this, all other times, Rebekah knew who was the boss.
That's right.
Okay. She knew that her husband was her head.
That's
and
right.
She knew who was in authority over her.
That's right.
But in this case, she had to set his authority aside.
That's right.
To carry out the Most High's will.
That's
to carry
right.
out his plan.
That's
so
right.
Again, this translation gave us what the true meaning is.
That's right.
King James got y'all thinking that we're supposed to cover up our head when we pray or prophesy. Right. But did not we already establish that this is my head?
That's right.
So you, if your husband wants you to cover your head, that's fine.
That's
right. I mean, that is being in authority.
That's right. I asked my wife to cover her head. I love to see her with her hair covered. I asked her to cover it not because I see it in the scriptures that cover her head. It's something that I prefer. You understand? So, but we got to like. That's and so she likes.
And I'm going to honor his authority in that.
That's right.
And so we just want you all to understand that this particular passage, because you read it in King James Version, is not referring to this head when it says cover your head when you pray and prophesy. It's saying cover this head.
That's
Set
right.
his authority aside.
That's right. For the head of woman is who?
Man.
Man, her husband. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the head of man is who? Christ. You see, the Hamashiach. So basically, we got to understand, and we got another good example when you're pregnant with Grace. Tell them about that. What happened with this? Now I want you to listen to this story here.
Well, when I was pregnant with Grace, this was going to be the first time we had attempted a home birth, and so we weren't completely all on board on what needs to be done in a home birth, and I remember I was overdue. I was a little nervous because there was a sister we know who had just died in childbirth a month before I was to deliver. So I was getting very distraught, very afraid. And I was even contemplating, are we doing the right thing and having this home birth? And so as time went on, I was talking to this woman who called us up and said that she had a dream. And she claimed that in this dream, now I'm going to say this just so people can get an idea of what kind of person I'm talking about. She's one from one of the islands, and I ain't got nothing against none of my brothers and sisters from the islands, but this particular island, she was from Trinidad, and they're into a lot of voodoo and stuff like that, hoodoo type stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, but this woman called me up, and she had said that she had a dream, an awful dream, and in the dream, your husband was weeping. You know, he was weeping and he could not be consoled and all this different stuff. And she says, you know, she was telling me that something happened and he was just so distraught and all this different stuff. And when I heard this and I knew that this other sister had just passed away in childbirth, I became extremely depressed at that time. And so there's another part of the story that I'm not going to go into. But this particular woman had taken a very strong liking to my husband to the point she was just, you know, always wanting, I had a dream, I want, you know, all this different stuff. And she was even trying to get to our house and everything. And, you know, she used a lot of deception in this. And so I was saying to myself, this woman trying to curse me. And I remember my son, he told me that he saw a dark spirit walking through the house.
It was a dream.
A dream. And when I heard this, I was really very distraught. And so 4 days before I was to deliver, the Most High spoke to me. It was like early in the morning. I was barely woke. I was like half awake, half asleep. The Most High spoke to me, and I just told my husband, the Most High wants you to fast for 4 days.
That's right.
And I just laid back down.
Right.
Okay. And my husband didn't question at all.
That's right.
He didn't question at all. And he felt within his spirit that the Most High did want him
That's right.
to fast for 4 days.
That's right.
And so he went on this fast. After he came off the fast, on that last day, I went into labor.
That's right.
And during the course of this labor, there were some things that we didn't do right.
That's right.
And I bled a whole lot during this labor.
That's right.
And we have pictures of it. And you know, I sat there in the water, and I was getting nervous. I was getting a little confused, and I was getting a little afraid as I saw all this blood. And I'm not trying to scare anyone who might be ready to deliver anything. I'm just giving you our testimony. But I remember praying to the Father as I was sitting in the birthing pool, and the Most High brought me through safe and sound.
That's right.
And I do believe that the Most High heard our prayers on whatever it was that we done wrong and losing all this blood and stuff. I do believe that the Most High heard our prayers.
That's right.
And it's quite possible that that's the reason why he wanted my husband to do the fast.
That's right. And see, when she came to me and she told me, she said, you know, the Most High, I believe you should go on a fast, you know. And when she said that to me, I said, wow, I knew it. I knew it right away that I should go on a fast, because I knew I was feeling the atmosphere and what was going on with the lady saying all those words to my wife, and it almost is almost talking as if she said something about that she saw me being as if my wife had died or something, you know. And I was like, whoa, wait, where's all this coming from, you know? And then at that time before then, someone that we knew had a husband whose wife had died in childbirth. So it really bothered us. So when my wife said that fast, I was, I can see this being fast. So I went on that 4-day fast, not even drinking anything, you know, because I knew that I had to do it. And when my wife came to me with it, I knew it was Yah speaking to her for me to do it. Now, what was I to do? Sit there and say, well, you know what? Hey, at that moment, though, she had, because she covered me, she set my authority aside, that now I was able to hear what Yah was saying through her. You get what I'm saying? So this is how the Most High really want to move. And I know, I'm going to tell you something. I've talked to a lot of brothers out there. Excuse me. It's some very stubborn men out there. You know, very stubborn men who they feel like a woman. Let me tell you, I heard brothers say, you know, when I'm walking out in the grocery store, in the parking lot or whatever, I want my wife to walk 2 car lengths behind me. You know, You want your wife walking all the way back there, huh? You walking like you some king or something. Man, it's some crazy stuff I'm hearing, you know. And it wants you, and you don't even, my wife don't even read the Bible, don't even pick up the Bible. You know, you are just shooting yourself in the foot, guy. You know, I'm gonna tell you that right now. You stabbing your own self because the Most High gave it to you to be a helpmate. Yeah. But you really don't want a helpmate. Why don't you just stay single, dude? You know, you don't want a helpmate. Then why don't you just stay single? You know.
You just want a trophy. That's all.
Yeah, right. I don't know what's going on with this stuff. But basically, I hope you all understand where we're coming from with all of this. You know, it's just amazing, you know, that when we you know, as a brother that we met has a video that goes into a little more depth online about the head cover, brother Joel. Pretty blessed video, you know. And I urge y'all to look at it. It's actually on our site too, if you want to go to our site and look at it. But it's very important that we get these truths, okay? So, you know, we just want to say thank you. Thank the Most High for this word going forth, and we pray that it be acceptable in the sight.
And, you know, we always have to remember that we have to rightly divide the words. You know, if you try to just study using the King James only, you're going to miss a whole lot of points. If you try to exclude, we don't deal with any of the books that were removed. They only deal with the 66 books. And so there's a lot of gaps in teaching. When you start to study, then you can get out of the mindset. You know, I notice a lot of people don't like Paul's teaching.
Right.
Okay. But like you had pointed out, there are certain aspects they will hold on to and will keep. You know, you have people that say, I like this over here, so I'll keep this. But Paul, overall, he's a false apostle.
That's right.
You have people say things like that, but they want to keep the part where the women are supposed to keep silence. I mean, you know, we don't have to revisit that point again, other than to say we have to understand the context was that in the household that the man is to be in authority.
Right.
So
exactly.
Across the board, we have given you examples of the Most High dealing with, speaking to, using, and blessing the daughters of Zion too.
That's right.
Regardless to what man says, when the Most High begins to pour out his spirit upon all flesh, he will remove anyone who tries to stop the word of the Most High from coming forth. You cannot stop what the Most High has intended to go forth.
That's right.
Whether it's through our children, through our handmaids, through our sons, our daughters, through women, men, our elderly, our young. It doesn't matter. The Most High is going to use whomever he wants to use. And we all just have to set our own personal understandings and beliefs aside and just rightly divide his word.
Now, let me ask some of you men out there this question, right? Some of you, let's say you got a daughter, right? Okay? And your daughter gets filled with the Ruach, and the Ruach comes upon her, and she shows the gifts of the Spirit, right? There's no doubt that the Ruach is dealing with her, right? And one of the gifts of the Spirit is prophecy, right? So what if she comes out of this thing, the Most High, he blesses her, right? And she looks over at you, and you her daddy, and she tells you, Daddy, do not go out there today. Stay home today. The Most High wants you to stay home today because there's something horrible out there that could happen to you if you go out there. So what, you're going to look at that? You're going to look at her, right? She's telling you the Most High gave this word to her about you. So you're going to look at her and you're going to say, I'm not listening to you.
You're a child. You cannot speak it to me.
Well, you better really think about what we're talking about here, right? You better think about it because the Most High can use whoever he wants to use, okay? He can touch whomever he wants to use. He can be women and young men are going to prophesy, okay?
This is why, too, in the very beginning of this lesson that we talked about how those that are supposedly in the truth, how they may have certain truths of us being the Israelites and whatever, but the Most High says that true worshipers worship me in spirit and in truth.
That's right.
There are spiritual aspects to this walk that some of you all want to cut off.
Yeah.
You don't want to deal with the fact that the Most High is going to endow women with his power and his spirit as well.
That's right.
We have to deal with the whole thing.
The whole truth. You can't just pick and choose what truth you're going to follow here. You see, and the bottom line is some of us are just carnal. I'm going to just tell you, some of us men out here, we are carnal. You know, let me tell you something. There are things, aspects of this scripture that are just spiritual. Okay, when you look in this word, there are things that's spiritual, and you can't discern them if you're carnal, because they are spiritually discerned. You can't discern them if you are a carnally minded person. So we're trying to show you the spiritual aspects of these things and show you, because if you want to be blessed, let me tell you something. Yah is not going to bless your mess. Okay, he ain't going to do it. Okay, so it's better for you to conform to what his word said and to receive it. Okay, receive his truth, receive what his word said, and say, okay, I get it now, I understand it now. Instead of fighting, that's why he said, any be contentious among you, because he knew that men were going to be contentious about what he was talking about, because he was telling them, hey, you got to cover, she got to cover her ears, she got to cover you, man. That's why he said what he said, because he knew some men were going to be contentious about what he was saying. Okay.